Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome to Guns N' Roses Central, and we're back with another episode of Guns N' Roses True Story. I want to give a big shout out to Dennis. He's from Australia. He's the one who gave me the idea for this true story. I didn't even know about the true story, to be honest. So this one dates back to 1988, December of 1988. So Guns N' Roses were in Australia for the first time. They were promoting Appetite for Destruction, and they were playing a couple shows in the land down under. Now, one of the bands that was opening for Guns N' Roses was a band called Kings of the Sun. Now, they had opened 3 shows for Guns N' Roses on December 14th, 15th, as well as the 17th. Now, just before the show, the band Kings of the Sun did a newspaper interview where they sort of threw some shade at Guns N' Roses. They basically said that Guns N' Roses were ripping off Rose Tattoo, and how Guns N' Roses even ripped them off by covering one of their songs on GNR Lies. And of course, on their debut release, Live Like a Suicide. So in the interview, here's what they had to say. So that newspaper article I showed you was the actual article where they gave the interview slamming Guns N' Roses. So during the interview, one of the band members named Jeffrey announces that Australia has produced some of the greatest bands in the world, and it's also destroyed some of the greatest bands in the world. Rose Tattoo should have been one of the biggest. He also said, and you go over to LA, says Clifford, and you see Guns N' Roses and Molly Crew doing the whole tattoo business, ripping them off completely. They, referring to Guns N' Roses, even do one of their songs in their set, Nice Boys Don't Play Rock and Roll. So before the December 17th gig, Axl got his hands on the newspaper article and took offense to the remark they made directed towards Guns N' Roses, to the point that Axl pulled the plug on the Kings of the Sun and basically had them pulled off stage only 20 minutes into their set. Here's what Axl had to say during the concert.
Before we get started, I want to, we read this article backstage with this band, and it wasn't too favorable in some of their opinions, and so I'd like to publicly address that. I'd like to apologize for having a puny-ass faggot band like Kings of the Sun open the fucking show. Sorry we gave them an opportunity. I ain't no fucking Rose Tattoo ripoff. They're just one of my favorite fucking bands, that's all. We put a Rose Tattoo song on our record because we wanted people in America to listen to some bitchin' Australian bands, that's all. Sorry I gave you guys, an opening slot on our fucking thing. Anyway, this is a song, if you think it's so bad, then you fucking prove it. Here's a song called It's So Easy.
So some other notable events that happened at the show is that Axl thanked Rose Tattoo and Angel City for making good music and from being from Australia. He also mentioned that he had been bored and on drugs for the last several days. It wasn't clear in terms of which drugs he was referring to, whether they were prescribed medication, because the one article I read about the show said that Axl was manic depressive. And during Steven's drum solo on Rocket Queen, before My Michelle, Axl kicked out a fan in the front for throwing basically stuff on stage, and Axl introduced Knocking on Heaven's Door as an oldie, and Axl said that they'll be paying overtime fees for playing too long, and Slash led another Hey Fuckers chant, and Nice Boys was dedicated to Rose Tattoo as they closed out the show. So that does it for this episode of Guns N' Roses True Story. It was a bit shorter than what I typically do, but I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and also be sure to subscribe if you love Guns N' Roses as much as I do. You guys can also go follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and you guys can also go support us on Patreon if you want to see us making content just like this in the future. Take care.